Now, operators of Air Peace were disrupted at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Tuesday as members of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress staged an industrial action demanding workers' rights to unionize and the remittance of statutory aviation charges. Speaking with Arise News, Ben Abram, President of the National Union of Air Transport Employees, said the action was aimed at protecting the fundamental rights of airline workers to freely join recognized labor unions, alleging that employees of some domestic carriers have been denied that choice.
It's not the best feeling because we just arrived. It's not even up to 10 minutes we arrived. From the gate, they asked us, I think it was our driver that said that it's like we're not going to travel today because this protest started yesterday. I didn't even have any idea of any protest prior to coming here.
On further investigation, we found out that there was a union issue. I don't know who. I'm not mentioning anybody because I don't know. It was very chaotic and difficult. Then we couldn't fly. We've been there. Now it's past 12. We are still sitting here waiting to board to Owerri.
It's rather unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position, I must say. And as Air Peace, we are extremely disappointed about what has gone down today. First, we see it as picketing on just us alone, not on airlines. So if I go to the unionism you spoke about, Air Peace staff have made it clear from day one that they are not interested in unionism.
Well, to discuss this further, I have joining me from our Lagos studios Arise business analyst, Chika Mbonu. A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Georgina.
All right, now...
Morning, Georgina. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. The aviation union strike has disrupted domestic flights, stranded passengers, with NCAA calling for immediate end to this industrial action. How serious are the economic implications if this dispute continues?
Yeah, Georgina, thank you for having me this morning. This is actually bigger than Air Peace. It's bigger than the aviation unions. It speaks to how Nigeria deals with disputes that affect critical national infrastructure, and then they are not allowing to disrupt the lives of Nigerian citizens. Aviation is an economic enabler. It moves business people, hospital people, students, everybody around to go and do their work. IATA estimates that directly and indirectly, aviation contributes about 270,000 jobs to Nigeria, about $2.5 billion to our GDP, and direct employment is about 40,000 employees. So you can imagine the impact on that. It's not just this GDP contribution, Georgina. If you go around, you look around, it says the industry, as we read, lost about 80,000 flights. Now, but quantifying the money that the airlines lost, we have figures that have been thrown around about 2 billion naira. But that's not all. 2 billion naira is probably the visible invoice. What of the invisible invoice? Airlines lost revenue, airports lost retail businesses, parking, lounges, handling and concession, passengers, hotels, missed connections, meetings and appointments, businesses, executives and employees losing productive hours, and Nigeria losing reputational damage and reduced confidence in infrastructure reliability. So it's not just about the quantified amount of naira loss. It's also about the attendant other linkages to that this issue. Now, there are some lines that you read somewhere. It says that as blood circulation is to the body, survival, so aviation is to business. So this is very important. So directly and indirectly, Nigeria has lost so much. If you imagine about 8,000 disrupted passengers losing about 100,000 naira, you can imagine, in addition to the air tickets that revenue that airlines have lost, the quantified amount of money that people have lost. People who are traveling for medical appointments, people who have gone, maybe somebody's mother died somewhere and is flying for the funeral, and so on and so forth. And so the cost is enormous, and we believe that everybody in all the stakeholders involved must recognize the importance of aviation to the economy and handle disputes like this before the climax and lead to the shutting of the airports and preventing of passengers from traveling.
Indeed, indeed. So, but the NCA is urging the unions and also the airlines to resolve their differences through dialogue. Now, what do you think should be the priority now? Is it protecting the workers' rights, ensuring regulatory compliance, or preventing further disruption to the aviation industry? Like you have said, it's going to cost, or it has already cost the country a lot of money and manpower, time as well.
Yeah, Georgina, there are two issues here that were frontal to this strike, as we heard and read. One of them is the non-remittance of the statutory 5% passenger ticket sales charge, supposedly by APs, allegedly accumulating up to 15 billion naira. The other one has to do with allegation concerning the ability of AP's employees to exercise their rights to join unions. The truth is that if you start with the passenger charge, it is regulatory money, it is government money, and airlines are the agents for collecting it. And so the expectation is that when they collect it, they should remit it to the government. So how we need to ask and get a response. You know, the figure being bandied is 15 billion naira, allegedly. How did they allow that figure to move from 1 billion to 2 billion to 3 billion to 5 billion to 10 billion to 15 billion without reconciliation and so on and so forth? You know, workers are entitled to the rights to unionize, and it's important that they're allowed to do so. And the important thing, therefore, is how, under what, are there not rules and regulations? Are there not frameworks for this unionization? Have they been followed? And then why did they allow it to escalate to this position? But my word out there is a legitimate grievance does not automatically make every method of pursuing that grievance legitimate. You know, so I believe that there have been vehicles and ways that this issue shouldn't have allowed to escalate, such that we had this kind of chaos we had at the airports and the disruption of services and the whole country coming to a halt, so to speak. There are labor laws in the country, courts, regulators, negotiation and arbitration processes that could have been used to make sure that this issue does not, escalate to the level that it is gone now. So we can protect workers without paralyzing passengers. Georgina, that's my word for them.
Indeed, indeed. Well put. Now let's turn to the Geregu Power Plant 40.09 billion naira bond default. And now, what does this development tell us about the company's financial position and taking a look at the broader liquidity challenges confronting Nigeria's power sector?
Georgina, this is not a delayed dividend or merely financial performance, poor financial performance. A bond is a debt. A bond is a debt. Payment is contractual. Once payment is missed, the questions become issue of liquidity, credit worthiness of the company, and of course, quickly led to the default risk. So I'll give you an example. You may earn a 100 million naira house, Georgina, and you're owing 5 million naira now. If they come for the 5 million naira and you can't pay, you don't have the cash to pay, there are problems of liquidity. One thing that's obvious from the financials of Geregu is a drastic change in the performance from the half year of 2025 compared to the half year of 2026. Revenue fell drastically, profit after tax drastically, net margin sharp decline, and the Q2 revenue was actually wiped out from about 56 billion. It came down to less than 420 million. You know, that's drastic. So it means the Geregu's cash generation capacity engine was severely disrupted. You know, I mean, it has been put out there that this thing happened because of the 62 billion major turbine maintenance program that was going on. So when turbines go offline, Georgina, what you have is electricity sales will reduce, generations will fall, electricity sales will reduce, revenues will come down, cash flow will come down, and debt servicing, of course, will come down. You know, so for example, if you own 100 buses, Georgina, and then you send 80 for major repairs simultaneously, the repairs may be necessary. But the issue is that while the buses are in the workshop, your passengers disappear, but your bank repayment does not disappear. And this is what appears to be Geregu's fundamental problem. But the bigger question is this, is the turbines explain why the revenues collapsed. They do not completely explain why Geregu could not meet a scheduled, the word is scheduled, debt repayment. Major turbine maintenance is generally foreseeable, is planned, and the bond repayment date is also known. So when management approved the 61 billion maintenance program that would have substantially reduced generation and revenue, was there no liquidity plan in place for servicing the creditors? Was there no debt service reserve account, ring-fence cash, contingency funding, refinancing, adequate cash flow planning? These are the critical corporate finance questions that Geregu should actually quickly come out and provide transparency to us.
All right. Let's now look through a crystal ball. When you put these two developments together, I mean, the disruption in the aviation sector and a major corporate bond default, what does it tell us about the broader operating environment for Nigerian businesses, particularly in terms of liquidity, investor confidence, labor relations, and the cost of doing big business generally in the country?
Georgina, the correlation is near I don't think the correlation is up to even 5-10%. You know, these are two independent events. The aviation crisis that we had yesterday could have been prevented. It could have been prevented, and I stand here and say that it could have been prevented with better management. As I said, how could it be that the debt was allowed to rise from 1 billion to 15 billion, and nothing was done? I know that in Nigeria, the airlines are, passing through a lot of challenges. The issues of everything that concerns aviation is in dollars. The maintenance in dollars, the spare parts are in dollars. The fuel, also, even if priced in dollars, aviation fuel is priced in dollars. Literally everything about aviation is priced in dollars. And then, of course, consumer purchasing power is also low. Even passenger traffic, based on some report I saw before, domestic passenger traffic is not really increasing the way it's supposed to increase. So the Nigerian airlines are struggling, and that has been consistently the issue. I have a feeling that the economy, and that's where I'm coming to, the economy becomes better, maybe more people will travel, and maybe ticket prices will drop, and the airline operations will be cheaper. Now, on the bond, the fund of bond by Geregu, I'm not worried yet, because there's nothing that portends or projects or says that this is a systemic issue. If there's a domino effect, like next week now we hear that another corporate has defaulted, maybe I'll start panicking, but that is far-fetched. If I also hear that the impacts that happened, what's the impact on the financial system? I don't think this is a major, it's not a solvency issue. It's still a local liquidity issue that's focused on the Geregu. And I think that, if I may explain it also, You recall that Geregu has passed through a major ownership change in December 2025. And so there's a new chairman, new board of directors, new management team in place, then this major maintenance program. I think they were doing so many things at the same time. And they may have suffered from what I call a transition risk. This may be what have accounted for the challenges they have. But as I said, you know when the baby is going to be delivered in 9 months' time. You should have prepared for it. But I don't think that we need to worry about the larger systemic issues. It's not symptomatic of the challenges we have in the economy.
Right.
The two incidents do not really correlate.
Okay.
That's my response to that.
Many thanks. Thank you so much for your submissions. So succinctly put. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu. Many thanks.